Hello everyone, my name is Payton and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here really to talk about some sports, finally talk about some sports. Some of these topics I wanted to talk about has been long overdue, and I guess for right now I'll be just doing it in some shorter videos instead of doing a full-fledged podcast, since I am nowhere near ready to do that. That's something I've wanted to do, something I stated in my introductory video. And I really wanted to talk sports on a podcast because I can easily just flow from one subject to another and just talk about those subjects for 15 minutes easily. And so the gameplay you're watching right now is some Halo Infinite. I probably have a couple games I have for you to watch, but the point I have in this video is really to talk about sports. So the first topic I really want to talk about, it's probably been long overdue to talk about, which is the Saints head coaching situation. So if you have not known, Sean Payton, who's been the head coach since 2006, resigned or stepped away as the head coach back in, I think it was like late January, early February. I can't remember the exact date. And obviously, he is definitely one of the top head coaches in the league right now. You can argue he is a Hall of Fame head coach just when you look at his resume. And just objectively, no matter if you really liked him or not, he was a fantastic head coach, a leader of men, and an offensive mastermind. Even though some head coaches get higher praise with examples of Andy Reid and Sean McVay, Sean Payton has always been up there from day one. So, so I do want to put that out there. And I think what happened this season is just a miracle. You talk about Drew Brees, a Hall of Fame quarterback, retiring, and so you're talking about a new era of Saints football, having a quarterback not named Drew Brees be the face of the, I don't want to say the face of the franchise, but actually being the starting quarterback. I'll leave it at that right now. And so you have that going on, a new quarterback situation, and then right before the season starts, you had a hurricane come and ravage through southeast Louisiana. Being from Louisiana, I can tell you this right now, New Orleans itself as a city wasn't hit as bad compared to surrounding communities, um, especially um, especially like in the Bayou area. People, the stereotypical thinking of what people think of Southeast Louisiana, those actual communities were heavily affected. But what it did for the Saints, it displaced them for over 3 weeks, and it made them play their first home game, and I'm putting it in air quotes, in Jacksonville, Florida, to face the Green Bay Packers. Granted, they absolutely demolished the Green Bay Packers, but looking back on it, it was definitely more of a rust situation for the Packers, especially Aaron Rodgers and that whole situation that happened, compared to the Saints being this great team, which if they were fully healthy, they could have been that. Now the biggest problem is that health was never on their side. There was injury issues all throughout the season, and then not only did you have injuries, you also had COVID like every other team. It got so bad that they had to start 4 different quarterbacks this whole season, which included fourth round draft pick Ian Book, who did not really look like he belonged on an NFL field. And he was just thrust into a bad situation on Monday Night Football, and the Saints were embarrassed, and it really wasn't their fault. You're talking about a combination of injuries and COVID happening to the point where the Saints set NFL records of players starting a game for a team in NFL history. It was somewhere around like not 30, geez, it was somewhere around 60 players, like 59, 60 players, somewhere around there. And just going through all that, you could tell it definitely took a toll on Sean Payton. You could tell he got burnt out. And that's one of the biggest things that could happen in coaching is them getting burnt out. Not having that passion anymore. Not having that fire in their belly to motivate them to do what they want to do and do what they love to do every single day. And I'm not saying that Sean Payton doesn't love coaching anymore. It's just that it just had so much on him that it took a mental toll on him. And for those of you who are not the most familiar with football, it's as much as a mental game as it is a physical game. And so he decided to step away as the Saints head coach. I don't think this will be it for him coaching. I think he's stepping away a year or two to kind of do something else or just take a little breather before he returns back, presumably for the Dallas Cowboys, but that's a whole different story. And then now the Saints have hired, basically promoted Dennis Allen as from defensive coordinator position to the head coach position. And so now it is definitely a truly new era of Saints football. We don't have the top two guys, Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Now, a lot of what I want to say about Sean Payton can easily apply to Drew Brees because both of them came down to New Orleans in 2006 when they were still in the baby steps, in the first steps of recovering from a major natural disaster that was Hurricane Katrina. And you're talking about, especially for people who aren't from the city or from the area, the Saints were in danger of permanently moving from New Orleans to San Antonio and losing out on what really caused New Orleans to be New Orleans, which was the Saints. Now, there's a lot of other unique cultural things in the city, don't get me wrong, but really the heartbeat of the city is the New Orleans Saints. And I'm telling you that right now, especially someone who was born, raised, and still live in New Orleans and the surrounding areas. Okay? And they came in at the time knowing just how fractured the franchise was and knowing that it was basically at ground zero. And there was no guarantee that the Superdome was going to be ready at the start of the '06 season, even though Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner, NFL commissioner at the time, really forced it to be ready. And to everyone's credit, it was ready. But you're talking about a revitalization of a city. The city was in grave danger of being completely wiped out permanently off the face of the earth. And what brought the city back, honestly, was the quick succession of the New Orleans Saints. And think about this: you have a major natural disaster like this happen. The first season as the head coach, and the first season really since Hurricane Katrina. Well, technically second, but that's just getting the semantics there. But first season after the whole rebuild, the Saints made it to their very first NFC Championship game in franchise history. And that's something that's absolutely mind-blowing considering the Saints franchise was established in 1967. So, what was that? What is that? 39 years and you finally make it to an NFC Championship game? And just to give you a little bit more context, the team itself, that the players that played on the team was a bunch of nomads, including Drew Brees, by the way. Drew Brees, no one wanted him because he was coming off of a torn labrum. At the time, not many people thought you can ever come back from that injury. And the only two teams that had interest in him were the Miami Dolphins and the New Orleans Saints. The Dolphins trainers were not comfortable moving forward with him for that reason. And the Saints cautiously but took a chance on him because you're the Saints after coming out of a major hurricane. What do you have to lose? Okay? So you take a chance on this young man who, even though he was a proven Pro Bowl caliber player, was coming off of a major injury. And so you come through all that, you build him up, and you build the whole team up. More than half the team, the 53-man roster, were on other teams the previous season. So obviously the team chemistry is really not there. And yet you make it to an NFC Championship game. And so that just shows how much of a motivator, how much of a leader Sean Payton was in year one. And as everyone knows, it culminated in the Saints' first and still only Super Bowl title in the 2009 season. And I will say as an aside, honestly, I don't even think that was the best Saints team. The 2011 team was better. Some people could argue the 2017 New Orleans Saints were better. The 2018 New Orleans Saints were better. Yeah, definitely different teams when you get to the last few seasons of Drew Brees' career, but still, and the Saints finally won a Super Bowl. And I think this is just one of these stories that you just can't make up. It's a story that really should be written into a movie. Ironically, there was a movie just released starring Kevin James about Sean Payton's 1 year suspension after the whole Bountygate situation. And they make a movie about his year away from the NFL due to the suspension, but they don't create a story about from '05 to '09. And you're talking about you're talking about especially the duo, but really the Saints being revitalized and being revived in the city that caused the city to flourish the way that it did after Hurricane Katrina. And so that's just something that the cultural aspect, the cultural impact that Sean Payton had, and Drew Brees too. This also goes to Drew Brees. This isn't just on Sean Payton. The cultural aspect that the duo had on the franchise, and you can argue even on the league, is something that's never going to be measured in the Hall of Fame, but it's something that should be appreciated around the NFL. No matter if you cover the Saints, if you're just a fan of the Saints, or if you're outside of the Who Dat Nation and outside the Gulf Coast region, you can look at it from afar and it's like, man, they turned around the Saints to what it is today. And now you have free agents who want to come to New Orleans. You have draft picks, draftees who want to play for the Saints. You never had that previously, and that's a lot of that goes to Drew Brees and Sean Payton and what they did with the community. And so I think that's just something that I want to I just wanted to kind of throw out there and just show to everyone, just explain to everyone, especially someone who's from New Orleans, just kind of tell to all the viewers who are not from New Orleans, who live elsewhere in the United States, or if they live outside the U.S., to show them what someone who has a position of head coach and quarterback can have on a franchise and can have on a city, especially in its biggest time of need. And for that, I just want to say thank you so much, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And to Sean Payton in particular, I really don't want you to go to Dallas, but I'm always going to thank you for everything you've done for the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans community. That'll be it for me today. And I know it was definitely a different video, but it's just something that I've wanted to do and just kind of put out there. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like the video, comment in the comment section below, and subscribe if you're new. Peace.